That badge is something you're going to have to get used to because sporty Spanish brand Cupra is growing its family globally and every model is coming to Australia. The latest version to roll out is this model, the Cupra Terramar, and I'm in Spain to find out exactly what this new SUV is all about. My name is Daniel Gardner, you're watching Chasing Cars. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you know what to do. Ring that bell icon so you get notified every time we put a new video live, like this one, the Cupra Terramar, and while you're there, give us a like and subscribe.
Chasing Cars, honest reviews of your next car.
Brought to you by
Direct.
I'm particularly excited to drive this car because the Cupra Terramar was unveiled globally just 2 days ago down the road in the heart of Barcelona, and we are among the very first publications in the world to actually get our hands on this car for a first drive. Because it's so new though, we know very little about it. Only a few little morsels of information regarding exactly what this car will look like when it comes to Australia have been revealed, but I can tell you one or two things. This is the 2-litre turbo all-wheel drive version. It gets the same engine as the updated Golf GTI. It's 195 kilowatts. It's probably one of the more driver-focused versions, and this is the one we're going to hit the road in. Exact specifications are yet to be determined for Australia, but a little bird tells me we'll probably get 3 levels of specification. Quite where this one sits in the range, I don't know, but to me it looks quite high spec. And here's the reasons why. First of all, nice quality materials everywhere. You can literally try as you like, you will not find a nasty scratchy plastic surface anywhere. It's all these lovely sort of rubberized and almost neoprene kind of feeling materials and this lovely geometric design that's covering a few bits and pieces. It's actually not quite as left field as some of the other Cupras I've driven, namely the Tavascan, which has got a really cool organic interior. There's a main reason for that, and that is this is not supposed to be the flagship of the range. This is kind of an intermediate model that will do combustion powered, mild hybrid and plug-in hybrid power while the brand transitions to full electric. So it's not actually supposed to be a flagship, it's supposed to be a stepping stone model in between, and it works really nicely. It's really, really well laid out, ergonomically fantastic. I love the way it's very driver focused. You can see all of the technical equipment and features are facing the driver. It feels like I'm the most important person in this car, which of course is always true, particularly in this vehicle. That is a just under 13-inch digital touchscreen with beautiful resolution. There's another one here, which is full digital for the driver's instrument cluster. You might recognize that from other Volkswagen Group vehicles. The so-called virtual cockpit has been proliferating a lot of other models in VGA Group, and it finds its way into this, the Terramar. You've got various different views, just like you'll find in other models with the technology. So you can customize exactly what you want, the information that's most important to you. And if you don't get what you want in there, you also have a head-up display, which is standard to this model as well. So the technological levels are excellent. There's nice features like wireless charging for your phone, 2 USB-C charging ports. This version is equipped with a Sennheiser sound system, which sounds very nice and is part of a partnership with Cupra. So first impressions are very good. It's well decked out. It's got really lovely quality materials, good quality prick leather on the steering wheel. These seats are covered in nice sustainable materials. They're sporty like the Cupra brand insists on being, nice and supportive for if you want to get stuck into driving some of these beautiful Spanish roads, which in a few moments we're going to do, but not before I've had a look at the second row seating. From a space perspective, things in the second row of the Terramar are actually pretty good. I've got loads of knee room, even with that front seat in my driving position. Headroom is just about adequate. There is a sunroof, which kind of intrudes ever so slightly into the space back here. Elbow room, really nice, and there's a nice sort of recline to the seat back. So it's comfortable and spacious, but it's not quite so good when it comes to ergonomics. For example, my knee hits this jutting out door handle on the left here, and it's quite uncomfortable. And also the C-pillar here is right next to my eye. So when I look out of the window to get a good view of this beautiful Spanish seaside town, all I see is C-pillar. Might not be such a problem for shorter people or taller people, I'm not sure, but ergonomically it's just not quite as good back here as it is in the front row. There are a few little goodies like USB-C charging, 2 spots there, and your own climate control panel for back here and your own air vents. So it's a good balance of luxury and features, but ergonomically not quite so good. There's also missing anywhere for me to put my phone. So yeah, mixed opinions. Nice center armrest, it's comfortable, it's just not desperately luxurious. There are the nice materials you find everywhere though, so yeah, generally as a holistic offering, it's quite good. For shorter trips, for smaller people, absolutely fine in the second row. But speaking of shorter trips, I haven't come all the way to Spain to sit in the back seat of this car. I want to get back in that front seat and see what it drives like. But before I get into what this car is like to drive, let me just give you a little bit more information on what we can expect in Australia. because we do have a few little morsels. So first thing is, it will be arriving in the second half of 2025 in Q3, hopefully very early on in Q3. And when it arrives, I can tell you that it will be offered in a choice of 3, if not 4 variants. Now that's quite exciting because this car has launched in 5 variants, so we're getting almost the entire range available globally. That range will consist of a few different powertrains. At the entry level, there is a combustion only version. Then there is a mild hybrid version, and at the top of the pack there'll be a plug-in hybrid version. Exactly how many of each is yet to be determined, and which one of those constitutes the flagship is also yet to be revealed. But the one I'm in right now, this is one of the combustion only versions, and it gets a 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine, 4 cylinders at the front, and all-wheel drive. So it's a platform that we've seen in other Volkswagen Group vehicles, such as the Tiguan, but in this, it's producing 195 kilowatts and is the same engine that's going in the updated 8.5 version of the Volkswagen Golf GTI. So this one is very much a performance-focused version of the Terramar. And that's really Cupra's USP. Because there are so many vehicles that share a lot of the mechanicals in the family, Cupra has decided to make its thing handling and steering and sportiness. Now I know there are other cars that do that with different badges on, but it's really noticeable when you get in any of the Cupra models. Now I've been lucky enough to drive quite a lot of the Cupra family back to back recently, and they all do that same thing. The steering is just exquisite. I love how light it is in the hand, but as soon as you turn off center, you get a little bit more weight coming in. It's very progressive and very positive, really, really nice and responsive. The same is in the Terramar. The Terramar is very easy to position on the road, even though it's, for now, the largest model in the family. And while we're speaking of that, it's probably also good to point out that this car is not really a replacement for anything. It's not going to be a replacement for the flagship. The Tavascan continues on as that, nor is it replacing the Ateca, because that vehicle is actually slightly smaller than this one, about 200 millimeters shorter in fact, and it will continue to be sold alongside the Terramar when it arrives. So the Cupra family is growing steadily and continuously, and that really is part of the whole Cupra strategy. When a new brand is introduced to any nation, it's important to not just sit on your hands and see how customers respond to the first few models. You have to keep that pressure on with a continuous influx of new models, because then the consumer understands you're serious about coming into the nation and you're serious about developing new and better cars as you go along. And that's exactly what Cupra is doing. And this thing is an absolute hoot. I have to say it is a pre-production version, so if you're hearing any little rattles or something that doesn't sound or look quite right, that's probably the explanation. But certainly there's nothing to complain about in the driving dynamics of this thing. It's just got that lovely steering, a suspension system that is really nicely tuned for a combination of both ride comfort and also driving enjoyment, like I'm having right now. It's really, really lovely. The ride quality is pretty decent over some of these roads, although I have to say, Spanish roads are kind of putting Australian ones to shame right now, because even in remote areas like this, it's actually incredibly well maintained. And the NVH levels are really very good. One of the engineers did actually say, because this is a pre-production version, it's got a bit of a noisy turbo, and I've been listening out for that, but even that I can't really hear over anything else. It's quiet in here, it's quite composed. There's a little bit of road noise coming through, but we do have some pretty hefty, handsome alloy wheels at each corner, so definitely not unforgivable levels of road noise. So generally levels of refinement in here are excellent. The sport seats are really supportive but comfortable for longer trips. The visibility is also really nice, and we've also got enough space in the second row for adults, and at the back we've got a big boot, so practicality gets a big tick as well. And as for performance in a straight line, it's really good. Like this is a genuinely quick SUV. It's not quite as quick as you might be expecting if I've mentioned Golf GTI, but that's because it's a bit heavier and bigger than a small hatchback. But certainly this car is upholding the Cupra mantra of offering something that is sporty and enjoyable for the driving enthusiast. The mid-size SUV segment in Australia is a fearsomely competitive one. There are so many options, and there's lots that are very easy to recommend. So this car has to come with a really compelling package and a really strong A game. And the early signs from this very exclusive, very early first drive are excellent. Not only does this car get all the practicalities you'd expect from a mid-size SUV in the segment, it also packages up in a body which is very handsome. I love the look and what Cupra is doing on the exterior of its cars as well. It's got a good family resemblance that you will really recognise on the road, but it's not just styling and to be different for the sake of different, it actually works very nicely. And then you combine all of that with a car that is focusing on driver enjoyment, really nice sharp steering, beautiful chassis that are tuned for both the passengers as well as the driver, and you're looking at a package here that is very hard to ignore. I know the Cupra brand is still building a bit of momentum in Australia, but watch out. Cupra is not letting its foot off the gas pedal, and there's lots more models to come, and they are all sporty, they all look great, and the Terramar fits into that range absolutely beautifully.